Hi, I'm Dries Knappen from the University of Antwerp in Belgium. I've been involved in the OECD's AOP-related activities for a number of years now, and I'm also serving as an editor at Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry of AOP reports. And today I'll be answering some questions related to what happens with an AOP after it has been accepted for publication by a journal.
So what happens after accepting the submission? The journal would proceed with publication of the companion article in the journal using the normal publication process. But what happens to the AOP in the AOP wiki?
Yeah, I think in general, it's important to be able to track and identify the different versions, specific versions of an AOP during the development process, but also during the review and publication process. And for that purpose, the AOP Wiki allows to create specific snapshots of dedicated versions of AOPs. And that feature is used during the after publication process as well. So basically, the snapshot that corresponds to the peer-reviewed version of the AOP is stored at the AOP Wiki and is published as well as a supplementary file to the journal article. So to basically keep an existing link through time between the journal article on the one hand and the exact version of the AOP that was the result of that review on the other hand. So that's the first thing that happens. And a second thing that needs to be done by the AOP authors is to change the status of the AOP in the AOP Wiki, displaying that it has been gone through the review process, and so also providing an appropriate link to the review comments and to the responses to those comments. And so another thing that can happen at the initiative of the authors is to enter the reviewed AOP in the OECD endorsement and publication process. So this is just a matter of the AOP authors notifying the OECD that they want to enter their reviewed AOP into the OECD AOP development program system and endorsement process. And in any case, this could eventually lead to the fact that AOP is published, it is OECD endorsed, but nevertheless the AOP page is in the wiki themselves are living documents and they can change over time. So the content in the AOP wiki will continue to evolve and might deviate from the version that is published and also from the version that's entered in the OECD endorsement process. So for that reason, those PDF snapshots are really important to keep track of different versions that were used during different steps of the process.
And can you tell us what is involved exactly in the OECD endorsement process?
And so the OECD endorsement process is a multi-step process. So first of all, the AOP needs to be on the work plan of the AOP development program of the OECD. So the first step would be to add the AOP to that work plan if that's not already the case. So that's also important to note that AOPs that are reviewed by journals can either be on the program's work plan already or not be on the program's work plan. So in both cases, they can go through the publication and journal review process. So if they're not yet on the work plan of the AOP development program, they need to be added to the work plan. And so after that, the first step in the endorsement process itself is to receive approval of the reviewed version of the AOP by the expert group overseeing the OECD's AOP development program. And after approval from that group is obtained, the AOP is sent out for endorsement to WNT, which is the working group of national coordinators of the test guidelines program, and the WPHA, which is the working party on hazard assessment. And if these two groups also endorse the AOP, then the AOP is declassified by the OECD's Chemicals and Biotechnology Committee. And so the final step after all of those approval and endorsement procedures is the publication of the endorsed AOP in the OECD series on adverse outcome pathways. It's important to note that during each of the different steps of this endorsement process, the authors may be requested to provide some clarifications or some updates to their AOP. In essence, potentially leading to the OECD endorsed AOP being slightly different from the AOP that was reviewed and published by the journal. So again, highlighting the importance of keeping track of all those changes by creating appropriate snapshots during different steps of the process.
Can you tell me, do the reviewers receive some recognition for their inputs and contributions?
In fact, reviewers are really viewed as critical contributors to the AOP development and the AOP development process. So participation in the review of an AOP report is really regarded as a notable scholarly activity. And so first of all, the reviewer's identity will be identified in the AOP wiki, and it will also be part of the published article. So that's a first element of recognizing the effort spent by the reviewers. And in addition, we explicitly encourage reviewers who took part in the process to cite their contributions to the review of the AOP reports as part of their professional credentials. For example, mention it on their CVs, much like they would also mention that they would have been part of project grant review processes, etc.
And how are the review comments published?
Review comments, as a basic principle, are published on the AOP wiki. So they're not necessarily published as a supplementary file to the journal article, but they are in any case directly associated with the AOP as part of the content in the AOP wiki. As already Dan talked about as well, during the review process, many review teams work with a lead reviewer who is coordinating and bringing together all of the information provided by the different reviewers. So in many cases, the review comments would be integrated into one document, into one review report, which would just be published on the AOP wiki as a single PDF file, basically. But this is not an absolute strict requirement. So if this is not the case, and if there is a list of individual review comments and files, then these would just be aggregated and compiled together and published as a set of documents on the AOP wiki. And they would also, of course, be referred to in the publication.
Sometimes we see an article describing an AOP already accepted and published by a journal, and then an author adds the AOP to the AOP wiki. Is that then considered reviewed and accepted?
And unfortunately, the answer to the question is no. So the acceptance of a journal article in and of itself, without the AOP content itself having been subject of the review as well, is not sufficient to make an AOP eligible for consideration for endorsement by the OECD. So it really is the review of the journal article in association with all the review of all of the AOP content, all of the AOP content in the wiki that constitutes a full AOP review that's required for going through the OECD endorsement process. So basically, this highlights the importance actually of AOP reports as an article format, as a dedicated publication type, because that's the only standardized publication format which explicitly includes the review of AOP wiki content as well.
I hope you enjoyed these videos and that they helped you dig a little bit into the practical aspects associated with the review of AOPs in line with OECD recommended principles. If you are interested in implementing these type of reviews at your journal, or if you would just like to have more information, don't hesitate to contact the OECD. Thank you.